Told you I wasn't stepping to. I ain't disrespecting you, son. You wanted to be one way. What? You wanted to be one way. But it's the other way.
Remix. Yeah. Funny how everybody loved the debate till the judges say they lost. Funny how everybody claim they want smoke till the scorecards come across.
My name is my name.
Everybody gangster when the verdict go their way. Taking victory laps, posting on social media all day. But let them catch an L, now the judges all corrupt. Now the rules wasn't fair, now the platform messed up. When you won, it was justice. When you lost, it was rigged. When the spotlight was on you, man, you danced a little jig.
Funny how the narrative changes overnight. You a scholar on Monday, by Tuesday ready to fight.
Y'all don't want accountability, you want applause. Want championship treatment without championship flaws. See, debate ain't about feelings, it's about evidence, argument, and skill. Sometimes you climb the mountain,
sometimes you fall down the hill. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
but it's the other way.
When you win, it's all love.
When you lose, it's another day. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
the same judges you praised last month ain't fair today. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
the facts don't bend for feelings, no matter what you say. My name,
Yeah,
my name.
the hate got me laughing. It really tell the story. If the platform wasn't working, why they obsessed with my glory? Every week somebody got an opinion to proclaim, but they still tune in faithfully. That's free promotion of the name. Paradigm shift, TV 314 still standing, while critics in the comments keep demanding and demanding. See the infamous perspective, giving viewpoints room to breathe. The black church files digging deeper than was seen. The Himmy take over, bringing culture to the floor. The GT perspective, asking questions they ignore. Here you get many choices. Ladies' night, giving divas voices. Different minds, different paths, different truth. Reaching the elders and the youth,
One way.
but it's the other way.
You said the platform needed you, but somehow you still stayed.
Yeah,
You wanted to be one way,
but it's the other way.
the show keeps moving forward even after people stray. You wanted to be one way,
But it's the other way.
the audience decides, not the stories that you made. My name is my
I've seen debaters come and go. Some legends, some pretenders. Some became champions, some became contenders. Some accepted losses and came back even stronger. Others spent 6 months complaining and being bitter even longer. Everybody wanna run a platform. Everybody got advice, but very few know the sacrifice, are willing to pay the price. Fight facts, challenge views, give the people real discussion. Not excuses when you lose, or whether they applaud or whether they complain. One thing remains forever.
My name is my name. You wanted to be one way,
But it's the other way.
Good night, people. How are you? This is the big debate. Big Hemmy versus Raymoe Bantu Esoteric. And the topic is, did God inherit the darkness? So we're going to show the format of the debate. So can you guys see it though? You can see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Right. It's a 3-minute opening statement, 10-minute affirmative round, 10-minute negative round, Chintex session Q&A. Each debater has 10 minutes to ask their opponent as many questions as they can. Each debater has 3 timeouts to provide clarity or reset, and a 3-minute closeout. So we're going to.
In other words, when it start getting stagnant and it seems like questions not getting asked, you might have to call a timeout so your time don't elapse, because you know that's a strategy. Your opponent starts stalling so they ain't got to ask questions. That's what make the chin check session so fire. It's like a rapid fire chess match. But hey, family, listen, my bad, I got kicked off. Your brother tired, my internet acting up. But welcome to Paradigm Shift TV 314. Y'all know what it is. It's your brother, the infamous DMG, aka Brother Pianki. We got a fire debate, the most consistent debater on Paradigm Shift and the Worldview Wars Debate League, the social media champion, the best biblical debater in the community, Big Himmy, taking on the notorious RBS in the building, Raymoe Bantu Esoteric. And listen, man, this is gonna be a fire debate. Raymoe say he want the belt. He say he bringing it back home to St. Louis. A lot of people think my man Himmy is in trouble. I don't know. So listen, Jose is stepping in for your boy because I got to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. The judges are watching. We're going to have a result sold for y'all. It could be as early as tomorrow, but more than likely it's going to be Wednesday or Thursday. The judges will either join me live or they'll just record a message saying why they went the way they went, and that message will be played. You will see who they are. The anonymous judges thing is dead because you know homeboy and them ain't part of the program no more. So you will see who the judges is. They will be accountable. But if you harass the judges for any reason due to their verdict, we will just kick you out of the league. So with that being said, Jose, you ready to host this thing, brother?
Yes, sir.
Debaters, are y'all ready to rumble?
You already know, man.
Let's go ahead and get it.
All right, y'all heard them, family. This is Worldview Wars Debate League. This is Paradigm Shift TV 314. And
ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
Let's go.
All right. So Raymoe, you are the affirmative, so you will be opening. So I'm going to share your presentation. And as soon as you start, I'm going to start the clock, right?
All right. You said 3 minutes, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, in this presentation, I will be showing a couple things that will be presented within this debate. As you can see, the topic is, did God inherit the darkness according to Genesis? Let me skip. All right. The core, right? The core argument, right? God did not create darkness. That's my standpoint. And my opponent will be proving that according to the book of Genesis, chapter 1, God did create darkness. And that darkness was not a pre-existent substance or state. But I will be proving that God did not create darkness, rather, but He encountered it as a pre-existing state that was already there before He arrived. I also will be showing the Hebrew to as well. The word "tahu," we know "tahu" in Hebrew means waste / unformed. Then I will be showing the word "bahu," another Hebrew word which means void / emptiness. Then I will be showing another Hebrew word called "tahom," which is the abyss or the deep. So these is my standpoints, what I'll be focused on today within this debate. And I hope my opponent can show something to disprove what I'm bringing out, that darkness was pre-existence before his God arrived. I also will be proving in the beginning there was darkness, which will be proven the Hebrew word, as I said earlier, um, the word bahu, which means void and emptiness. Right in the beginning, there was darkness, and bahu, formless earth covered with water, which is the abyss. This darkness existed before any light was created, which is verse 2. As you can see, I do have a reference down there in the little box if anybody can see it. It has Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 and 2. This will be our main focus today. So if you run to Isaiah chapter 45, that has nothing to do with Genesis chapter 1 nor the creation story, he will be actually showing a political movement dealing with Cyrus. If you run to Isaiah 45, not only that, he will be contradicting himself according to John chapter 1, where it says that the God of the Bible is pure light, and within him there is no darkness. So he also will have to explain the commandments within verse 6, verse 9, and verse 20 within chapter 1 of Genesis, where everything was commanded. So now we see within those commands that God power is within those commands. He will also have to show the command of darkness being brought forth within Genesis chapter 1, because Genesis chapter 2 also proves that light was brought forth from without this darkness. So that means if it's
That's
God,
time, Raymoe. That's time. That's time. That's
go
time.
ahead, go ahead.
So now we're gonna let Raymoe mute, and we're gonna take down his presentation, and we're gonna put up Big Hemmy's presentation and let him go ahead. As soon as you start, Big Hemmy, I'll start the clock.
All right, can you make my presentation full screen, please?
Can I?
Yeah, you should be able to make it take up the whole screen.
That's it, right?
Nah, it still got us on there.
Oh, I don't know how to do that. Unfortunately.
All right. So I'll just start.
Is that it? There we go.
There you go.
I was about to say, dang, Jose, come on, bro. All right, y'all got it. Y'all got it. I'm gone.
Start your timer, Himmy.
All right. Did God inherit the darkness according to Genesis, right? So good evening, everyone. The resolution before us is, did God inherit the darkness according to Genesis? Notice what we're debating. We're not debating whether darkness existed. We're not debating whether God is light, like Raymoe just tried to say. We're not debating whether God later used darkness. We're debating whether Genesis says God inherited the darkness, okay? All right, so the burden of proof. That means my opponent has a burden. He has to prove two things from the text, from Genesis itself. First, that Genesis is talking about inheritance, right? Second, that darkness was something that God inherited. I'm going to show neither claim is found in Genesis, all right? Genesis opens with creation, all right? In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. The chapter begins with creation, not inheritance. Verse 2 doesn't change the subject. It simply describes the condition of what was created. So it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Then it goes on in verse 2 and say, the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. That's not an inheritance account. That's a description of creation before God begins ordering it. Okay? The rest of scripture agrees. So he brought up Isaiah 45 and 7, and that's important because Isaiah 45 and 7 says, I form the light and create darkness. The Bible tells us where darkness came from. God created it. It does not say he inherited. Okay? The Bible is clear about inheritance. The Bible is also very clear whenever it speaks about inheritance. Israel inherits the land. The tribes inherit their portions. The saints inherit the kingdom. Christ inherits the nations. When God inherits something, scripture tells you he inherits it. Genesis never says he inherited the darkness. All right. My position is pretty simple. If someone wants to claim God inherited darkness, they need to produce the verse that says so. Not an assumption, not an implication, not a philosophical argument, the text. Throughout this debate, I'm going to stay in Genesis and let scripture define its own terms. If Genesis never says God inherited darkness and the rest of the scripture explicitly says God created darkness, then the resolution fails. Thank you. That's my time. Jose.
You had 30 more seconds, but you're going to yield that time?
Yeah, I'm going to yield those 30 seconds.
Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that down. Okay, what just happened? Am I tripping? All right. Right, so I'm going to take that down. I'm going to let Raymoe put up his presentation because he goes first as the affirmative. As soon as he starts, I will start. So when you're ready, here's your presentation on the screen. If you want to go full screen, you want to go full screen too? Yes, you want to go full screen?
Yeah, you go full screen. You go full screen.
Yeah. So as soon as you start, the timer will start.
All right. So now, as my opponent said, I knew exactly where he was running to. As I said in my presentation earlier, if he runs to Isaiah 45, who will be contradicting John chapter 1, where it said God is pure light, in him there's within no darkness. So now we got the Hebrew up here on the screen. The Hebrew, we have the word to who means way / unformed. Then we have bahu, which means void / emptiness. Then we have tahom, the abyss / the deep. As my opponent said that it does not mention that God inherited darkness, right? But nowhere in the scripture, in Genesis chapter 1, it says God created darkness. Within verse 1, it does not say that. Not even in verse 2. You go to verse 6, that's when everything was created. But what he didn't say was what happens within verse 3. See, verse 3, verse 3 says, let there be light, right? So out of this light comes darkness. So that goes to show you that before there was light, that means something already exists. As you can see right here, in the beginning, there was darkness. In the beginning, there was darkness. It didn't say in the beginning, God created darkness. It said in the beginning, there was darkness. In the beginning, it was the abyss. Everything was empty. It was formless, right? This is in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 and 2. This is where we're going to stay at. Like our opponent said, we're going to stay in the Hebrew. I want everybody to know what the Hebrew means. You get what I'm saying? Then it says this darkness existed before any light was created. So now the brother even said that he read it in verse 2 that his God was in darkness. He was moving at the abyss. Abyss, there's no light. You get what I'm saying? There's no light. We all know this. You get what I'm saying? So for him to say that God created darkness is a totally lie, because Isaiah 45 has nothing to do with the creation story. That dealing with Cyrus. If you read the context of Isaiah 45, is dealing with a political movement. It's dealing with the Israelites and Cyrus. That's what it's dealing with. So let's keep reading. Let's go on some more. Darkness, right? As a primordial state, right? Darkness symbolized chaos, emptiness, and potential. It said the Spirit of God hovered over the waters, emphasizing darkness existed as the canvas for creation. So that means darkness was already there before your God even started hovering over the waters. You get what I'm saying? I ain't gonna read the bottom part. Then it says, let there be light. Genesis 1 and 3, like the brother said. Suddenly light appears, marking the first transformation of creation, like the brother said, right? In verse 1, God created the heavens and the earth. It didn't say God commanded darkness. It didn't say God created darkness. It said God created the heavens and the earth. Verse 2 says what? It says he moved at the abyss of the darkness. He didn't say, let's command darkness. Let's bring forth darkness. No, let's go to verse 3. It says, let there be light. So now we have light coming forth from out of a pre-existence state of substance that was already there before their God even came to arrival, right? So this established authority and the power of divine command. Like I said, in Genesis chapter 1, if you read further down, everything is brought forth through a command. Everything is brought forth through a command. You get what I'm saying? So that goes to show you that the power within the God of the Bible, his power only comes through command. Now, the brother said that there is no scripture in Genesis chapter 1 that says God did not inherit darkness. But we didn't run across the scripture where it says God created darkness. You get what I'm saying? So we don't get that until what? Verse 4. The divine light coming from, and it still doesn't say that God created darkness, even in verse 3. You get what I'm saying? It just says, let there be light. So there goes a light coming from a pre-existing substance. The only thing that brother got is Isaiah 45, but Isaiah 45 contradicts himself because Isaiah 45 goes against John chapter 1, where God says that he is pure light only. Within him, there's no darkness, right? So a bright shade of light piercing in darkness. That's why God said, let there be light, right? So the separation of light and darkness, this is where God separated everything at, right? God separates light from darkness. Light named day, darkness named night. Genesis 1:4 through 5. Excuse me. This separates introduces order and rhythm into creation visuals, right? Split images showing night on one side, day on the other, right? That has nothing to do with what we're talking about with the divine darkness being created. You get what I'm saying? This is, so if you run to this only talking about the moon. This has nothing to do with the divine darkness being created. Because why? He has nothing in Genesis chapter 1 that says God created darkness. Only where he can run to is Isaiah 45, and Isaiah 45 contradicts John chapter 1. So the symbolic, right? The symbolic significance, sorry about that, darkness, chaos, ignorance, and absence. As I read earlier, according to the Hebrew words, right? Then the summary, darkness existed first, enabling God's creation work, right? As I said, by darkness pre-existing first, as we read in Genesis chapter 1, as we read, it shows that God power or work is only through a command. You get what I'm saying? Because if you keep reading down further down, everything he commanded was through power of words. Nothing he said in nothing he said in Genesis chapter 1 said that said let there be darkness or something like that. You get what I'm saying? Nowhere in Genesis said that. So now here go the big banger right here. This is the big hitter. So like I said, the brother brought up Isaiah 45, right? Where it says God create light, he create darkness. Boom. John chapter 1:1-5 says, where the apostles John writes. This is John's words. Now if the brother goes against John, something is wrong. So this is John. John says, this is the message we have heard from him and declared to you. God is light. In him there is no darkness at all. So this passage, right, underscores the absolute holiness and moral perfection of the God of the biblical kingdom. This scripture alone destroys Isaiah 45. Now, brother, I'm going to ask you, if you can't show the command of darkness being created by your biblical canon God, then that means you have to admit that darkness was there first before your God commanded light, before he commanded anything. Because you got to understand, even when he said,
3 minutes, huh?
All right, even when he formed the heavens and the earth, that was formed from out of darkness. It was formed from out of the void, the formless. You can't show that the heavens and the earth was created out of light. You can't show that because there's nowhere in Genesis chapter 1 it says that. It says darkness was there in pre-existence. No matter if you did try to say it's inherited, the inheritance proves that the God, by the God saying let there be light from without of the darkness proves that he inherited the darkness through his own creation. You probably didn't understand what I just said. No one probably just said what I just said. It's dealing with gnosis. Let's continue. Darkness and the pre-existence void. Darkness also primordial, sorry about that, content. In Genesis 1 and 2, the earth is formless and void, and darkness covered the deep. Here, darkness does not significantly mean evil, but state of unformed potential that the subtract over which God acts, right? So your God acts from out of a pre-existent state that was already there before him. See, I'm a Gnostic, so I don't even bring up the Gnostic text, because you would say, well, then how did he end up in darkness then? You get what I'm saying? They'll be going off topic. That'll be my next debate if I come out on top of this debate. So we got the word burrow, right? Burrow, which is another Hebrew word, and darkness, right? This word is not even mentioned in Hebrew. It's not even mentioned actually in the English King James version or any version. This word actually means creation, right? It says God performs the act of burrow within this pre-existent, unformed space. The divine divine intentionally brings order, light, and life out of the formless void, right? Analyzing to how a theater backdrop situates the on stage actions, bro. So basically, it's like your God, right? Your God was coming into something that was already in pre-existence, and then he started creating matter within his pre-existence, and then from out of this matter, he said, "Let there be light." From out of this pre-existence of darkness, he said, let's form the heavens on the earth, right? So let me continue. Let me stop with the Hebrew real fast. Hey, how long I got? How long I got?
3 seconds, 2 seconds. That's time.
It's all good. I'll come back to the next one.
Time is up. So let me take you down.
They take me down, but the Hebrew, you got to focus on the Hebrew for sure.
Okay, so we're gonna put up Himmy, and I'm gonna, as soon as he start, as soon as you start, the timer will start, Himmy.
All right, before I even get into my round, judges and audience, I want y'all to notice something.
Hey, Himmy, I apologize. Let me interrupt for just a second. Hey, Jose, don't do it this time, but starting in the second round, can you let them know when they either got 5 minutes or 2 minutes? Which one would y'all prefer?
I gave him a 3-minute warning just now, DMG.
All right. My bad. I'm half asleep. All right, I ain't gonna interrupt no more. Y'all do y'all thing.
All right.
Himmy, you ready?
Yeah. So as soon as I start talking to the judges, you can do it. So judges, this is what I want to let y'all know, man. My opponent spent several slides defining tohu, bohu, tehom, symbolism, chaos, and God's nature. My question is simple. Which one of those proves inheritance? That's what this debate is about. His claim is that God inherited darkness. Okay, so now this is my round one. So we're going to go through Genesis, right? So before we argue theology, before we argue definitions, before we argue philosophy, I want us to agree on one thing. The resolution says, did God inherit the darkness according to Genesis? Not according to philosophy, not according to a dictionary, not according to what we think happened. According to Genesis. That means the writer of Genesis controls this debate. If the writer says God inherited darkness, then I lose. If the writer never says it, then the affirmative has to prove why I should read something into the text that the writer never wrote. So let's just read Genesis, okay? Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Let's stop. Don't read past this verse yet. I don't want you thinking about darkness. I don't want you thinking about light. I don't want you thinking about the deep. I want you to answer one simple question. What did the writer just tell us God did? He created. That's it. That's the very first action attached to God in the entire Bible, is that he created. What did he create? The heaven and the earth. Okay? Creation versus inheritance. Now, why is this important? Because the resolution isn't asking whether God created, it's asking whether God inherited. Those are two different ideas. If I tell you I built a house, you wouldn't tell everybody I inherited it. If I tell you I inherited a house, you wouldn't tell everybody I built it. Those words don't mean the same thing. So before darkness is even introduced into the story, the writer has already introduced the category. The category is creation. Now, here's my first question for the affirmative. Raymoe, where in Genesis 1:1 do you see inheritance? Now, what you think is implied, not what you think happened later. Where did the writer say it? because all I see is in the beginning, God created. That's going to matter throughout this debate because my opponent keeps using inheritance language while the writer keeps using creation language. Those aren't the same thing. All right. Genesis 1 and 2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Now I want you to notice something. The writer didn't introduce a new subject. Verse 2 starts with, and the earth. What earth? The earth from verse 1, the one God just created. So verse 2 isn't leaving creation, it's describing creation. The writer is telling us what the creation looked like before God began ordering it, right? So it says, the earth was without form, the earth was void, darkness was upon the face of the deep, of the earth. The Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters on earth. Okay? The affirmative's mistake. Now, here's where I think the affirmative makes a big mistake. They'll read, darkness was upon the face of the deep, and immediately say, see, darkness already existed. My question is, already existed where? Inside the creation account. The writer has not left the creation account. He hasn't started talking about something before creation. He hasn't said darkness existed before God created. He hasn't even hinted at that. He's describing the creation he just told us God created in verse 1. See how different those two claims are? One claim says darkness existed before creation, which is what Raymoe is saying. The other says the creation God created was dark. Genesis only says one of those. It never says the other. And that's important because I don't get to add words to the text. Neither does my opponent. Description, not inheritance. Now, another thing, read verse 2 carefully. The writer says, the earth was without form. Did God inherit without form? No. He says the earth was void. Did God inherit void? No. The writer is describing conditions. He's not explaining ownership. He's describing what creation looked like before God began forming and filling it. Those are two different conversations. Then he says, darkness was upon the face of the deep. Again, description, not inheritance. If I walk into a room and tell you the room was dark, did I just tell you where darkness came from? No. Did I tell you who created darkness? No. Did I tell you who inherited darkness? No. I described the room. That's exactly what the writer is doing here. He's describing the condition of creation that he told us about in verse 1. What verse 2 never says? It never says darkness existed independently of God. It doesn't say that. It never says darkness existed before God. It doesn't say that either. It never says God found darkness that belonged to somebody else. It doesn't say that. Those are all conclusions people bring to the text. They're not conclusions the writer gives us. So let's keep reading. Genesis 1, 3, and 4. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. This is the commands that he was talking about. Notice what just happened. God speaks, light appears. Now here's another question. Did the writer say, and God created darkness? No. Did he say, and God inherited darkness? No. He simply tells us God brought light into the scene. The writer is talking about God's work within creation. Nothing about inheritance has been introduced. Now, verse 4. And God saw the light, and it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. Stop. Read exactly what the writer says. God divided the light from the darkness. He doesn't say God inherited darkness. He doesn't say darkness belonged to another. He says God divided light from darkness. My opponent may say, well, if he divided it, then he possessed it. Maybe, but possession isn't inheritance. I possess my shoes. I didn't inherit them. I possess my phone. I didn't inherit it. Possession and inheritance aren't synonyms. The affirmative has to improve inheritance, not possession, not authority, not sovereignty, inheritance. The text still hasn't used that category. Okay? Genesis 1 and 5, the pattern. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Now God names them. Notice the pattern developing. He creates, he speaks, divides, then he names. Those
3
are
minutes, Big Himmy. You had 3 minutes there.
I got you. Those are the actions the writer keeps assigning to God. Here's what I don't see: inherited, received, obtained, acquired. The writer hasn't changed categories one time. He's still describing a creator ordering his creation, not someone inheriting darkness. So before I move on to the rest of Genesis, I want to leave the judges with one question. We've read the first 5 verses. We've seen the writer introduce creation. We've seen him describe the condition of creation. We've seen God bring forth light. We've seen him separate light from darkness. We've seen him name them both. Where in these 5 verses did the writer ever say God inherited darkness? Because that's the resolution. And so far, Genesis haven't even introduced the idea. All right. So now let's keep reading, because I don't want anybody leaving here saying, well, maybe later in the chapter, the writer talks about inheritance. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Notice the pattern has changed. The writer doesn't say God inherited the waters. He doesn't say God inherited the firmament. God speaks and God divides. That's still creation language. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And again, God made. That's the word the writer keeps using. Made, created, separated, never inherited. Now ask yourself something. If my opponent is right, why doesn't the writer ever say it? We're 7 verses into the Bible. The writer has had multiple opportunities to tell us God inherited something. He hasn't done it one time. Okay? If already present means inherited, I want y'all to notice something. So you have the heavens, the earth, the waters, the land, the seas, the grass, the trees. Everything is being organized by God. So here's my question. If darkness being present automatically means God inherited it, did he inherit the waters too? Did he inherit the earth? Did he inherit the seas? Did he inherit dry land? Because they're all already present in the narrative before God starts organizing them. See the problem? If already present equals inherited, then everything in Genesis becomes inherited, not just darkness. That's the problem with changing the definition. The word loses all meaning. Okay? So we've gotten halfway through and still no inheritance. Where did the writer ever switch from creation language to inheritance language? Because I'm still waiting. Every verse keeps saying the same thing. God made, God said, God divided, God called, God set, God ruled. The affirmative keeps saying inherited, but Genesis never does. And here's what I want the judges to remember going into the second
that's
half.
it. That's it. That's it.
All right.
DMG, are you there? I hope he's there. Because my laptop right now is going dead, and I don't know if I can come in on my phone. My laptop is giving trouble, so I don't know if DMG is there or not. So I'm not sure what to do. So I'm going to see if I can come in on my phone, because my laptop is on 7%. So I'm going to see if I can come in on my phone and still do this stuff, but I'm not sure. It's plugged in charging, but it's plugged in charging, but for some reason it's discharging. I don't know why. I have no idea why. So I don't know if DMV is
Jose be ill prepared, y'all. That's all it is.
No. My laptop is really giving trouble. It was fully charged and now it's down to 7%.
Sure, Jose. I hope. Hey, your laptop better not be giving you trouble when you debate JJ.
All right. I'm gonna see if I can.
It's gonna be an automatic forfeit.
I'm gonna see if I can come in on my phone and still moderate. I'm gonna try and see. So I'm gonna leave here and come back in on my phone, right? And see if I could do it from there. If not, I'm sorry, but this been giving trouble. So let me.
All right, if you get back in. I'm here.
Sorry about that, huh?
Yeah, you good. All right, fellas. Well, we kicking off the second round, correct?
Yeah, it's on Raymoe. His start of his top of the second round.
All right, Raymoe, I'm gonna share your screen. Give me 1 second. Since Jose let me down, I got to get my clock ready. I hope he hear me saying he let me down too. Where Leandre when you need him? Never mind. Let me see. Let's let me get this. I apologize, y'all. I thought Jose was prepared, but the brother let me down. And yes, I'm being petty about it. All right, let me get my timer. I apologize to y'all, meaning the debaters. Let's see. All right, we at 10 minutes. Raymoe, time to start when you start.
Yeah, I'm ready. So yeah, as you can see, my opponent, he agreed, as I've been saying this whole time, that his biblical God has not created darkness, and that darkness was a pre-existing state already before his God came into existence or created anything. He also admitted that everything deals with commands. Like he said, God said this, then everything happened. God commanded the waters that came forth. God commanded the firmament, everything like that. So this is another hammer. You get what I'm saying? This is called the silence command. It's a God's power, as I've been saying earlier. God's power is defined by his command. Verse 3, let there be light, right? Let there be a firmament. Verse 6, let the waters bring forth. Verse 20, all this is coming forth from a command. But if you read in Genesis chapter 1, you don't get a command where he says, let there be darkness, right? So where is the command for the deep? We don't see that, right? Where is the command for the darkness? We don't see that, right? Where is the command for the void? We don't see none of that. Where's the command for the abyss? So your God command everything else, but accept the deep, accept the darkness, accept the void. This proves that your God wasn't there before darkness, because darkness is a pre-existing substance. As you can see, you didn't even touch on Isaiah 45 anymore, because they cut you up, because John chapter 1 laid the foundation that God does not have darkness within him. So like I've been saying, Isaiah 45 is a political proclamation to Cyrus, not a creation report. That's why the brother has not touched upon Isaiah 45. That's why the brother has not yet shown any commandment of his God saying, let there be light. Let there be darkness. Now we're going into the scholarly proof, something the brothers probably don't have. You know what I mean? So this is the scholarly proof, right? Mark Bretter is a leading biblical scholar, frequently explores how biblical texts depict the origin of the world and the processes of creation in literal and theological terms, rather than strict historical chronological order, right? So what did he do? He described that the darkness, right, was a state of unformed void. He described that the light. I can't really see from the slide for real. Okay, there you go. I can't really see. Let me see. Hey, can you put my screen on full screen real fast, DMG?
Yes, sir. And I stopped your time too.
I appreciate it. All right, and I can see it now. All right, now, right, let me read it over. It said Mark Brettler, right? He's a leading biblical scholar, frequently explores how biblical texts depict the origin of the world and the process of creation in literal and theological terms, rather than strict historical chronological. In particular, Brettler examines passages describing the early cosmic state as unformed, void, or emerging from darkness. So now we got biblical scholars now. We got biblical scholars showing and examining the text of Genesis chapter 1, proving that everything emerged from darkness, as Himmy admitted. He admitted his God didn't create it. So if your God didn't create it, why did you show Isaiah 45 earlier in your presentation? Why did you show that? You contradict yourself. So now you got to face the consequences. What did he do? In texts such as Genesis 1 and 2, right? The earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, right? Butler notes that the Hebrew Bible often portrays creation as a starting from a pre-existence entity. So now we have the biblical scholars now. So there's no need for you to say, well, show me in Genesis chapter 1 inheritance or anything or pre-existing darkness. We have the biblical scholar. So what scholar do you have that debunk Marx? You don't have none. You only ran to Isaiah 45 and cut yourself up and admitted that your God didn't create darkness, but then you stopped with Isaiah 45 because John 1 cut you up, because in God there's no darkness. So now we have an actual biblical scholar here that is known for things like this, right? And he notes that the Hebrew Bible often portrays creation as starting from a pre-existent entity. So what you going to say? That was light? You can't say that was light. You're done. Let's keep going. So he also noted that this reflects ancient Near Eastern motifs in which cosmic order emerges from mortal chaos, allowing the biblical narrative to position more as the agent of shaping and ordering rather than generating ex nihilo, which is a Hebrew word, in modern sense. That means creation, if you know that. So you haven't showed not one look at Hebrew word, not one time, but you're making fun of the Hebrew because the Hebrew actually destroys your English concept. In Deuteronomy 4 and 5 and 22, right? For example, right, the imagery of fire, cloud, and deep darkness over Sinai can be seen as drawing on similar motifs and initial indeterminate or overwhelming state that precedes divine guidance and law. So when I had asked you earlier about your claim dealing with Isaiah 45, well, I didn't ask you, but because it's not question and answer, but when I brought up Isaiah 45, and I knew exactly where you was gonna run to, and you brought up Isaiah 45 and said, well, you see right here it says God create light and he create darkness. Then later on down the line you say, well, he didn't create darkness, but you say if darkness was a something that you said, I forgot, man. It's something you said, I forgot. I was trying to pay attention to it. I forgot, but it's something you said. It's gonna bring it to me in the question and answers, man. But now you see that this is actually a good example right here in Deuteronomy 4 and 5 and 22. You know what I mean? Of the fire, the cloud, and the deep darkness. We also got scriptures like Psalms 82. You get what I'm saying?
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Right on. We got scriptures like the book of Hebrews that shows that your God, he clothed in darkness. He reside in darkness. Psalms 82 says your God's secret place is within darkness. So not only that, we got other scriptures that profound that darkness was pre-existence. Brother, we have the scholar proof. This is a known biblical scholar that frequently explores how biblical texts depict the origin of the world. So you don't have anything. You can keep saying, well, he haven't showed inheritance and all of this. What the wham? I showed it. I showed the pre-existence. And by it being pre-existence, your God inherit that. By him inherit that, he created what he created within through his inheritance. You get what I'm saying? So pre-existence darkness was already there, because you gotta understand what pre-existent means. Pre-existent means it was already there, brother. It means it was there. You get what I'm saying? That means that God didn't create it or anything. It was already there. You get what I'm saying? But your God emerged into it from a different spot, from a different place. You get what I'm saying? But that's a different topic, because I'm a Gnostic and I know where your God came from. You know, I know how you ended up in the darkness. I know how you inherited. That's why Genesis chapter 1 proves my point of the pre-existence. Of the pre-existence. You just admitted Genesis chapter 1, you said he created the heavens and the earth. Then in Genesis chapter 2, he moved upon the face of the deep darkness. Nowhere did it say it was created. Nowhere did it say it was created. You twisting your own scripture. Your Bible says you must not add nor take from it. And you're adding to it. You're adding to it. You know, you can't wrestle with the scriptures, brother. You're doing what brothers. You're wrestling with the scriptures.
That's time. That is time. Finish your thought.
Right on, brother. I appreciate that. But no, that's all I had. Right on, man. You're going to give to him. I appreciate that, big bro.
All right. I'm going to take Raymoe's screen down.
Hey, DMG, before you put my slides up, I got a picture up there I want to put up first. I got it.
All right. This is it right here?
Yeah. And then
all right. Time starts when you start.
All right. So everybody, I want y'all to notice this is his slide. It says, where is the command for the deep? Where is the command for the darkness? I think that's supposed to say verse 1 and 2. That's supposed to say verse 1 and 2. Where is the command for the void? Okay. But the reason I wanted to show this slide to everybody, including the judges, is because this is a bad argument. Where is the command for the heavens in Genesis 1 and 1? Where is the command for the earth? There's no let there be heavens, let there be earth. So this is just an extremely bad argument. Okay, Raymoe, please go study and come back and try again. This argument that you're having is bad. And yes, I'm focused on inherited because that is your claim about God inheriting the darkness in Genesis. You can bring this down, DMG, and I'm gonna jump right back into my slides. All right, so the burden belongs to the affirmative. Now I want to lead the judges with something I think is important. The affirmative has asked you to believe something the writer never said. Think about that. The entire debate comes down to one sentence. God inherited darkness. My question has been the same from the beginning. Where does Genesis say that? Not where you think it implies it, not where your theology needs it, not where a dictionary allows it. Where does the writer actually say it? We've read Genesis. We've read the creation account. We've watched God create. We've watched him speak. We've watched him separate. We've watched him name. We've watched him bless. We've watched him finish. I still haven't watched him inherit. Okay. And if the affirmative wants you to believe he did, the burden isn't on me to disprove it. Like he keeps trying to tell y'all. He wants me to disprove the difference between light and darkness. That is not what we are discussing. We are discussing whether God inherited darkness, my brother. All right. So again, what Genesis actually says. He spent a lot of time telling y'all what he believed happened. I spent my time showing you what Genesis actually says. Those aren't the same thing. Remember, the resolution isn't, can we imagine a way God inherited darkness? The resolution is, did God inherit the darkness according to Genesis? That little phrase, according to Genesis, is doing a lot of work because it means Genesis gets to define the terms of this debate. Not me, not my opponent, but the writer of Genesis, okay? The writer's language versus my opponent's language. Now think about what we read together in round 1. Genesis starts with, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That's the category the writer introduces. Creation. As we kept reading, the writer never left that category. God created, God made, God said, God divided, God called, God blessed, God finished. The writer stayed consistent from Genesis 1 and 1 all the way through Genesis 2 and 3. Now listen to what my opponent did. Instead of using the writer's language, he introduced his own, inherited, received, came into possession of. That's not what Genesis says. That's his explanation of Genesis, and those are two different things. And that's important because judges don't vote on explanations. I hope not. Y'all vote on what the text actually proves. Okay. Interpretation must come from the text itself, right? My opponent is free to offer an interpretation. That's what debates are for. But an interpretation has to come from the text. It can't replace the text. That's what I think is happening here. The writer keeps saying created. My opponent keeps saying inherited, but showing creation. Those are not synonyms. They are different ideas. So somewhere between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 2:3, my opponent has to show us where the writer changes categories. Where does the writer stop talking about creation and start talking about inheritance? He doesn't. That's not a rhetorical question. I actually want that verse for real. But if the writer never changes categories, my opponent has. All right. So building an argument on silence is what my opponent is doing, right? He'll say Genesis never explicitly says God created darkness. Okay, let's grant that for a second. Does Genesis explicitly say God inherited darkness? No. So now we're both dealing with something Genesis does not explicitly say. The difference is I'm not building my argument on Genesis silence. He is. Think about that. His entire case depends on taking something Genesis never says and treating it like Genesis said it. That's a dangerous way to read any text. If I can take silence and turn it into doctrine, I can make the text say almost anything I want it to. All right. That's why I've stayed focused on one simple question all debate. What did the writer actually say? Not what it didn't say. What did he say? Because what he said is evidence. What he didn't say requires an argument. And that's exactly where the affirmative lives. Not on statements, on assumptions. Okay. Silence does not prove inheritance. Suppose I write a biography about someone. In that biography, I tell you where they were born, where they went to school, who they married, where they worked. If I never mentioned that they owned a dog, would you be justified in saying they inherited a dog? Of course not. My silence about dogs doesn't prove inheritance. It doesn't prove ownership. It doesn't prove anything. Silence only becomes meaningful when another passage explains it. Otherwise, it's just silence. That's exactly what's happening here. Genesis describes darkness. The affirmative wants Genesis's description to become an inheritance account. Those aren't the same thing. A description tells you what is there. It doesn't automatically tell you where it came from. It doesn't automatically tell you how someone acquired it. It certainly doesn't automatically tell you somebody inherited it. That's why I keep bringing you back to the text. The writer never makes that move. My opponent does. Okay? All right. Already there, already where, right? So let's deal with what I believe is the foundation of my opponent's entire case. Throughout this debate, you've heard one statement repeated over and over again. Darkness was already there. I agree. Darkness was already there. But here's my question. Already there when? I need my opponent to answer that because that's one statement is incomplete. Already there before what? Already there before God created with a question mark? Then I need the verse, not the implication, not the conclusion, not the assumption. Show me where the writer tells me darkness existed before, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. You won't find it. Already there after Genesis 1:1, then darkness is already inside of the creation account. And you still have to explain how you got from already there to God inherited it. Okay? Because Genesis never says that. The writer never says darkness existed before creation. The writer never says the deep existed before creation. The writer never says the waters existed before creation. Those are things you're bringing to the text. Yeah. The writer doesn't tell me that. Okay? The missing step. Now here's where I need the judges to slow down with me. Notice what just happened. My opponent said darkness was already there, then immediately concluded, therefore God inherited. No, there's a step missing, a very important step. How did you get from darkness was already there to God inherited darkness? Where did Genesis make that connection? Because I read Genesis and I never saw it. The writer never says it. Darkness was there, therefore God inherited. He never even hints at that. My opponent had to supply that conclusion himself.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
I got you. That's not the writer's conclusion. That's his. Now think about why that's important. Suppose I grant, just for the sake of argument, that Genesis never tells us where darkness came from. Let's grant it. How does silence become inheritance? Why does the absence of explanation automatically become proof that God inherited darkness? It doesn't, y'all. There are other possibilities. Maybe the writer simply wasn't explaining the origin of darkness in Genesis 1. Just like it didn't explain, well, it did explain the origin of the heavens and earth. He said God created, but there was no command saying, let there be heaven, let there be earth. Okay? Descriptions don't explain origins. Okay? If I tell you the room was dark, have I explained where darkness came from? No. If I tell you the ground was wet, have I explained where the water came from? No. If I tell you the streets were full of smoke, have I explained who started the fire? No. Descriptions don't automatically explain origins. There are descriptions. Genesis 1 and 2 is describing the condition of creation. The affirmative is treating the description like it's an explanation of ownership. Those are completely different categories, okay? Then they take one more step. They go from ownership to inheritance. Again, where did Genesis do that? Because I don't see it. And here's what I really want the judges to think about. Imagine if I came in here and said, Genesis never says where the waters came from. Therefore, God inherited the waters. You'd ask me, how did you get inheritance? Exactly. You make me prove that step. That's all I'm asking my opponent to do. Don't just tell me darkness was there. Tell me why Genesis wants me to understand that as an inheritance. Show me the verse. Show me the language. Show me the connection. Because so far, all I've heard is it was already there. That's an observation. It isn't proof of it.
That's time. That is time. All right, let me remove Himmy's screen. Let me reset the timer. We are now in the chin check session. Matter of fact, let me grab my little joint. All right. Time is reset. This time, Himmy will be going first. So, Himmy, time will start when you start asking questions. Remember, you got 3 timeouts.
I got you. Hey, Raymoe, my first question to you is, did God inherit the water? Raymoe, are you there?
Raymoe, unmute your mic.
Oh, my fault. I sure was talking. Can you rephrase it?
Rephrase it? I said, did God inherit the water?
Yeah, I said I was talking. I didn't hear what you were saying. I was talking to my background. You said the guy inherited the waters?
Why are you talking to your background during our debate?
Because I got a daughter. I got a daughter too. I got, you know what I mean?
Oh, my fault. Okay. Did God inherit the water?
The guy inherit the water?
Himmy, I paused your time at 9:23. Do y'all want me to start this over at 10 minutes?
Yeah, you start over at 10 minutes.
That's cool.
Himmy, it's your time. It's up to you.
Yeah, you can start it over.
All right. Starting over at 10 minutes, time starts now.
All right. So my first question to you, Yaya, is did God inherit the water?
No, God didn't inherit the water.
But the waters was already there. The water appears in the same verse as darkness.
But this debate is about darkness, not about did he inherit it.
No, the debate is about the debate is about inheritance, right?
Yeah,
so
inheritance of darkness.
Okay, so can you quote Genesis 1 and 2 and 3 for me?
Yeah, I got Genesis 1 and 2, where it identifies the Tehom, which is the deep/darkness as the raw material.
No, I want you to quote Genesis 1 and 2 and 3.
Oh, you want me to read it? You want me to read it? Like actual read it for you?
Yes.
Oh, okay, give me a second. I had to bring it up there. Okay. Genesis 1 and 2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters.
Right. So we see the deep, darkness, and waters all appear in the same verse, right? And according to you, creation didn't start until Genesis 1 and 3 when God said, "Let there be light," right? So did God inherit the waters?
No, he didn't inherit the waters.
So why do you conclude that he inherited the darkness from the same verse?
Because without a form and a void, this state of material before the command, it wouldn't exist.
That would include the water, right?
Yeah, I just said without the form and the void, which is the tahu, waha, bahu.
Yeah, bro, just listen to what I'm saying.
I'm answering your question for you.
I got you.
Just
Listen for a
I
second.
understand what you're saying. I can't answer the way you want.
Quiet, let me ask you a question. If you conclude that the darkness was inherited, right? Because you read verse 2. That's why you're saying that darkness was inherited, because you read verse 2. In verse 2, there is the deep and the waters that were hovered over, right? So that would mean all of those were inherited by God, because according to you, they weren't a part of creation.
I never said.
I know you never said that. I'm asking, how could you logically remove darkness?
I did remove
waters
darkness
in the deep. No, listen, bro. Let me finish my question. How can you remove waters in the deep from that equation, saying that they weren't inherited, but only darkness was, when they all exist in the same verse?
You can't. What I'm saying is that your God inherited darkness, right? So if I'm saying
know
that
that's what you're saying.
Listen, let me answer for you. So look, if your God inherited darkness, right? Then I'm saying that your God.
You're not asking me questions, though. I'm asking you questions.
Okay, look, you asked me the question, so I'm answering.
Right. So answer the question.
Okay, look, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase what I said. The waters, right? The waters and the abyss, the void, all that darkness was already pre-existence before your God came to existence.
So he inherited those as well, is what you're saying.
Your God never inherited. Your God. I thought you was asking me. Yes. Then yeah, your God would inherit the waters, the abyss, the void. Yes, because according to Psalms 82, it says that the secret hiding place of your God would be pure darkness. So yes, I agree. He would.
But how does that answer the resolution? Judge, I want y'all to pay attention to what this guy. So you're saying that because Psalm 82 says he would be in darkness, that somehow means he inherited the.
Listen, again, that was an example, brother. That was an example. So your question was, right? Did God inherit the waters too? So I said yes. He inherited the waters. He inherited void, the abyss, everything, the darkness, everything. And I gave you an example of Psalms 82 being an example of darkness being a secret hiding place where your God dwell at.
Okay.
Now you got another question for me?
Yeah. So where does Genesis say darkness existed before creation?
All you gotta do is read in chronological order, brother. You know what I mean? Once you go to Genesis, let me read for you. Once you go to Genesis chapter 1, right? Chapter 1.
So this is what I want you to do. Listen, bro. This is what I want you to do. I want you to read Genesis 1. You can read Genesis 1 through 5, and stop when you read the word darkness existed before.
What's your question though? So that way I can.
I said, when does Genesis say darkness existed before creation?
Okay, cool.
So before creation is mentioned, you have to mention darkness. Start at verse 1.
Okay, cool. Give me 1 second. All right, Genesis chapter 1, King James Version. Why do keep doing that? I think it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right?
Oh, wait. You've already mentioned created. So you was in the beginning, God created. 5 words in, you said created. You haven't mentioned darkness. So where does, again, my question to you was, where in Genesis does it mention that darkness existed before creation? You said you can find that.
It's in Genesis. Look, it's in Genesis chapter 1, brother. Where did the
Yeah,
heavens
but
and the
you're
earth?
5 words in, and you've already mentioned creation.
So listen,
And those
okay,
are
listen, hold on, brother. Listen, you trying to over talk. Let me answer your question. All right, listen. Genesis chapter 1 alone, right, proves that the pre-existence of darkness was there, because then you will have to show me, right, in your text, where did he create the heavens and the earth from?
You say what?
You said your God created the heavens and the earth. I agree. That's in Genesis chapter 1. Then you said, right? Then you said, now hold on.
So where did darkness exist before creation? You were 5 words in.
Genesis 1.
Okay, so I heard you say created. I didn't hear you say darkness.
And then
Yeah.
listen, brother, darkness was there because your God was in the abyss, according to verse 2, he was in darkness.
Okay,
So
read
now
that it says God is in the abyss.
okay, let me read it for you again. It says, verse 2, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters.
Okay.
So now, once we go to verse 1, right? You asked me. You said, "Well, what does it say God created?"
No, I didn't.
Darkness.
I asked you,
Right.
where does it say that darkness existed before, outside of creation, before creation?
Okay, which would be verse 1, because verse 2
Verse
proves
1
that
says
you got.
creation. It doesn't mention darkness.
I mean, listen, you got. I mean, if you look at it, right? If you really use common sense, common law, like literally.
So you
Right.
2
can't.
minutes. 2 minutes.
So it's not in the text. It doesn't mention that.
It's there. It's there. Verse 2 literally
Read
is
it.
clearing it up for you.
Read it out loud for us.
Verse 2 is literally. I'm
Verse
reading for
1.
you again.
Verse 1.
And the
Verse
earth
1.
was without form,
Verse
and the
1.
void and
I said
darkness.
verse 1.
Okay, verse 1 even says that the earth was created. The earth was created formless, and the heavens was formless. Right. So where was it created from?
So this formless and voidness was the earth, right?
Where? Okay, I can't answer.
And that's where the darkness was. And that's where the darkness was as well, right?
I'm sorry.
This formless void, this abyss, right? That was a description of the earth from verse 1 when it says that he created the heavens and earth, right?
Are you saying that's the sequence to verse 2?
No, I'm saying that was the condition of the heavens and earth from verse 1, right? It was formless void. That's what you just said, right?
I think that was verse 2, not verse 1.
I'm talking about the earth from verse 1, bro. It was formless and void. That is describing the earth from verse 1, right?
No.
Oh, it's a different earth?
I think so. Yeah.
So
I'm not understanding what you're trying to ask me.
So it's 2 earths in Genesis 1. Hello? Raymoe.
Yeah, I don't understand what you're trying to ask me, bro.
I said
You asked me, was it 2 earths? I don't understand.
you said it was a different earth from the one that was mentioned in verse 1, bro.
In verse 1, it says God created the heavens and the earth, right? Boom. Verse 2 says that the earth was without forms. I get that's the same earth. I'm trying to see how you see it.
Exactly. And so the void, was that earth.
Is time. That is time. Listen, this may have been the most interesting chin check session I have ever been a part of. Raymoe, we're going to turn it over to you. Time will start when you start asking questions, brother. Let's go.
You said according to verse 1, right? You told me to show you that God, you said show where it says darkness was there before anything, right? So I need you to show me, according to your Bible, where was the heavens and the earth created from?
It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and earth.
From what?
It doesn't say where. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and earth.
From where?
I don't know. It doesn't say. I'm not
So the heavens and the earth. He created it from out of where?
It doesn't say
So
from out of anything.
okay,
It just says he
so
created them.
from out of darkness, right?
No, it doesn't say he created them
Okay,
out of darkness.
okay. So you disagree with verse 2 then, right?
No, verse 2 describes the condition of the earth. It says it's formless and
Okay, it
void,
was
and
formless
darkness
and
was
void,
on the.
and darkness exactly.
That's
So
the
when he
depth
created,
of the
when he
earth.
created the heaven.
Listen, bro. That's describing the earth. Verse 2
So
is
I'm asking you,
describing the
brother.
earth that he
Okay,
created.
so I'm asking if it's describing the earth, then that means what? By him describing it, he's describing it from out of darkness, right?
No, it's describing
So
that
you
the
disagree
earth that
with
he
Genesis 1 and
created.
2.
No, what? Bro, it's describing that the earth that he created was void, full of water, and dark.
Let me read it for you again, brother. I don't think you really quite understand what I asked you, right? So I asked you, I said, according to your scripture, it says God created the heavens and the earth. I asked you, from what? You said you don't know. Verse 2 specifically says where your God was.
Verse 2, what?
Verse 2 specifically says where your God was.
Yeah, it says
When
he
he
hovered
created
over
the
the
heavens
face of the
and the
deep.
earth.
It says he hovered over the face of the deep.
Okay, so when he hovered over the face of the deep, he was in the abyss hovering over the face of the deep, right?
He hovered over the face of the deep.
Oh,
That
brother,
he
he hovered over the face of the deep darkness. We all, bro, hey, stop trying
Right,
to
that he
wiggle your way
created.
out of it. Ain't no wiggle.
I'm wigging
So
my
look,
way
I'm
out of it.
asking, I'm asking this again, bro. You right?
Mhm.
Specifically,
The what?
specifically, right? Again, according to Genesis chapter 1, did your God create darkness?
Yes.
What verse is that?
He created the earth that contained darkness.
I asked you what verse is that?
Genesis 1 and 1. In the
Genesis
beginning,
1 and
God
1
created
says,
the
in the
heavens and
beginning,
the
he
earth.
created the heavens and the earth. It didn't
Right.
say
The
darkness.
earth was for.
So,
Listen.
okay, cool. Thank you. So now you just admitted it. You just admitted what I've been asking
Yeah,
you
that he
from the
created.
first question. No,
Yeah,
no,
that he
no, no.
created.
What I asked from the first question, you just admitted it, right?
Yeah, that
So
he
I
created.
asked you, did
You
your
didn't
God
ask
create the heavens and the earth from the darkness? You said no.
what?
Huh? Can you hear?
He didn't create it from the darkness. Darkness is a condition
Well,
of the earth that he created.
brother, how can the darkness be condition of the earth if darkness was already there? So where did
So
the light come
darkness
from?
existed. So you said that darkness existed before earth. Show
Hold
me
on,
that.
I'm the one asking the questions. Where did the light come from? According to Genesis
He said,
chapter
"Let there
1.
be light." He brought forth the light
From out of what?
from out the darkness.
Okay, then. So where was your God
Let me
at?
tell you
Was
what
he in
I'm-
light or was he in darkness?
What God is like.
That's a contradiction, bro. John 1 and 5. I mean, John chapter
How's that
1.
a
We went over that
contradiction?
already.
It says that
Listen,
God
stop,
is
man.
light.
Wiggling your way out of there. Okay, so you
How is
agree.
that a
You
contradiction
agree.
when it
Okay,
says that
look,
God?
okay. So your God, right? He created the light, a divine light, according to Genesis chapter 1, verse 3, right? That was divine light, right?
You say what?
According to Genesis chapter 1, right? In verse 3, he said, let there be light. You
Right.
agreed that the light came from out of darkness, right? So the light that he said, let there be light, was that a divine light?
I didn't say that came out of
I'm
darkness.
asking you, you just said, oh my God, there's 3 judges. If anybody hearing this, now look, I'm asking you again. When your God said, let there be
I
light,
said
right?
God is light. I said He said, "Let there be light."
Okay, God is light. That's cool. So your God is
Mhm.
light. So that means he wouldn't need for him to say, let there be light, right?
Why did He say, "Let there be light"?
No, I'm asking you the questions, not you asking me the questions.
I'm
Come on, man.
answering your question
No.
with it. He said,
No,
"Let there
your
be
God,
light." What does that
okay,
mean?
okay, but your God is pure light, right? If he a pure light source, it
That's
wouldn't
why He
need for
can
him to
speak
say,
it. He
let there
spoke
be
it.
light, right? So when I
Right.
ask, ain't nobody smoking, stop, man. You're getting beat up. I know this is
I
what
said
happened.
He spoke
So
it. I didn't say nothing about
look, when I
smoking, bro.
look, calm down. When I ask you this question,
You
I'm gonna
calm
ask you
down.
again.
You talk
When
about smoking. I said
look,
He
look, when
spoke
your
it.
God, I got you, big heavy. When your God said, let there be light, was that from out of the darkness, right?
Say it one more time.
Okay, so when your God, because you already disagree and say he didn't create the heavens and the earth, even though you did agree, we all heard it.
I never
You know,
said he didn't
from
create the
darkness.
heavens and the earth. What are you
No, I
talking
said
about?
from the
man?
darkness. I said from the darkness. From the darkness.
No,
You get
I
what I'm
said
saying?
darkness is a condition of the earth
And
that he
I
created.
said that your God created it from within the darkness, right? And you said
No,
no, he
it's
didn't.
and I said no, it's a condition of the earth.
Exactly. So I disagree with that. So now I'm asking
How?
you
It
again
says
another
that the
question.
earth
What you
was
do?
void.
No, it
So
didn't. It
when
never
it says
said
that the
that.
earth was void
It never
and
said
formless,
that, bro.
it does. It says
Bro,
the earth
what
was
does that have
void
to
and
do?
formless.
What did it have to
That
do
answers
with
your
the
question
darkness being there
directly.
first? That doesn't answer it directly, bro.
It doesn't
So
say
if
the
I ask,
darkness.
so
It says
listen, bro,
that he
anybody with
created
some type
first.
of common sense, what does it say in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1? Darkness. God created the heavens
It
and the earth.
says
Where
he
does
created the
he
heavens
created
and the
darkness
earth.
at?
And then
Well,
what is
okay,
it?
if he created
How
the
did he
heavens on the
describe the
earth,
earth?
right? If
Then
he
how
created
does
the
it
heavens on
describe
the
the
earth,
earth?
if he
Right.
created the heavens on the earth, why
Right.
did he need for it to say, let there be light from out of a divine darkness?
Where did it say that? Where did it say let there be light out
This
of
is
a
in
divine
Genesis.
darkness?
Okay, come on.
Read
These are
that
word
for me,
things.
please. Read that it says
Look, I'm
let there be
asking you,
light
let
out
me
of
ask you
divine
again.
darkness.
Okay, when your God, according to Genesis chapter 1, verse 3, your God said, let there be light.
Right.
Was that from out of the darkness?
No. He said,
So
let there
when
be
your
light.
God
That
said,
was a
let there be
command.
light, where
Who
was
is
he at?
What you mean? What he
So,
was hovering over the face?
so him being light, for him to,
He
so
was
for your
hovering. I
God,
just asked you. Listen, are you listening to my
if
answer? Or are
your
you just
God is no, bro, you're trying to run from the thing. If your
I'm
God can't
answering
be
you. You
light,
asked me where was
if
he
your
at?
God is
I
light,
said he
right?
was hovering
Listen,
over the
this
face of the
is
deep.
you're contradicting yourself now.
How am
Because
I
if your
contradicting
God
you?
is light, listen, you said your God is pure light. No, he did not say, let there be light from darkness. Anybody with common sense, do y'all hear this? He literally said, God did not say, let there be light from out the darkness. Do you
He
guys do
didn't.
not hear
Show me where it says he said, let
this?
there
Is
be light out
crazy
of the
right
darkness.
here. This
Show
is
me where it
crazy
says
right
that.
here. So now I'm gonna ask you this: if your God is pure light, why did he need for it to say,
2
let there be
minutes.
light?
2 minutes.
He spoke
I
it.
don't.
What do you mean?
Why
What
do he
mean?
need to? Why do he need
Why did he
to
need?
bring
Why?
forth light from out of darkness if he is
What?
light? That don't
What
make
is?
sense. He pure light.
What? It didn't say. It didn't say that. It didn't say what
You
you're
said
saying.
it. You the one just said your God was pure
I
light.
said
Not
it
me.
says, let there be light.
Did you
I
not
don't
say
know
your
what
God was
you-
pure light, Himmy?
I didn't say he's pure light. I said God is light.
Come on, man. I
I
love
did. I said
TNT.
God is light.
I love. So if your God is pure light, why did he need to bring forth light from out of darkness?
It doesn't. You keep saying that. Where does it say that he
Bro,
brought
he
forth
said
light
it.
out of darkness?
Bro,
Show me where it says
Genesis
that.
chapter 3.
Genesis chapter 3 says what?
Genesis chapter 1, verse 3 clearly states
Oh,
that your God said, let
read
there
it
be
for us.
light.
You said it said out of darkness.
That's where the light emerged from. It didn't, bro. Show my
It
screen
don't
real
say that.
fast.
Show me
Y'all
what it
got
says.
3
Hey,
timeouts. Y'all got 3 timeouts. Just putting it out there.
Time out. Show my screen real fast. Let me show the scholarly report. Time out real fast. Let me show the scholarly real fast because you must have didn't see the scholarly that I shown you.
What the hell is
This
a
is scholar
scholar?
proof, brother. Right here, you see it on the screen.
What's
Hey, now
his
for the
name?
judges.
All right.
Now
What's
for
his
the
name?
judges.
Time
Go ahead.
starting.
One time.
52
Start,
seconds.
Go ahead. Now
What's
for
his
the
name?
judges, right? For the judges, the brother literally stated. He literally
I thought,
stated.
this
that,
is not a
no. He
presentation
literally
now. Why do
stated.
you have a screen up?
Look, this is
Ask
chain
me a
check. I want
question.
everybody to see this on the screen. This is scholarly
So
proof.
ask me a
He brought
question.
nothing to the table. He ran from Isaiah 45 because I cut him up with John 1.
The
Now
discussion
scholar
is
proof
about
is
Genesis.
over. Now look at it. It say Mark Brother, right? He's the leading biblical scholar, bro.
The discussion
He's
is
a
about
leading biblical
Genesis.
scholar. Frequently explores, bro, how biblical texts depict on the origin of these things, bro. Not only that, what did he do? He describes earlier
Raymoe, I'm
cosmic
stopping your
state
time. Do you have
of
a question?
unformed void. I'm done with it.
Do
Let's
you
get
have
it.
a Do you have a question for Himmy? I thought you was gonna ask him a question when I shared your screen. You gotta
That's the
just
question.
the chin
That's
check.
the
You gotta
question.
ask questions.
No, I ain't that. That's all I wanted to show. I'm done with the question. You know what I mean? Because he already proved my point.
You concede
with
in
the
your question, Ron?
That
You don't got no more
scholarly, that scholarly proof
What
already
is a
proved my
salary?
point.
Can you
With my
answer
question,
that
bro.
question for me?
No,
No,
bro, because you admitted it
no, because
yourself.
I'm
You
uninformed
admitted it
on what a
yourself.
salary
You
is.
admitted
No,
it yourself, bro. So
I know.
there's
I'm
a
a
guy.
minister. I
That's
don't know what
time.
it's
That is time. That is time. Listen, hey, Himmy, we gotta talk, bro. Cause what do you be doing to people, man? Where they just abandon the chin check, man. This like the third time.
I don't know.
What do you be doing?
I don't
Hey,
know, man.
like this only happened with you, bro.
This dude, I don't know what he was doing. I guess he knew
Man, I
the
only showed my
question.
screen
All right,
one
we got
time,
3
man.
minutes
So he
on
wanted
the
to show
clock.
his
One
screen.
time.
He
I only
wanted
showed
to
it one time just to
scholarly.
prove my point with the
He
scholarly
wanted to show
on
the
that lag because I
scholarly.
only had 30 seconds anyway. So that's why I
Whatever
told
that
him to
means.
share my screen, bro, because I just wanted you to see that
I get
scholarly
it.
prove
I don't
that
know
you
who the
could not
scholarly
debunk,
is, bro.
bro. And if anybody
I
with
don't
some
know.
common
I'm a
sense,
debunk something I never
if
heard of.
anybody
What
with
the hell
some
is
common
scholarly?
sense can see, bro,
Everybody chill. Listen, it's time for the closeout. Will anybody be sharing their screen on the closeout? Himmy, you going first, Raymoe going last.
No, I won't be sharing my screen on the closeout.
All right, 3 minutes on the clock. Time starts when you start.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, people of the audience, DMG, and my opponent. This debate, the topic was: did God inherit the darkness according to Genesis? My opponent spent his entire time talking about darkness was already there. Darkness existed before creation. I asked him several times to show me in the text in Genesis where the writer of Genesis says that darkness was there prior to creation. We all know that Genesis opens up by stating that God created within the first 5 words. Darkness doesn't appear until the second verse. So darkness couldn't have been present prior to God's creation. Okay? Then he spent his entire time not dealing with inherited. The discussion was about how he had to explain and affirm that Genesis states that God inherited. He wants me to disprove something or prove this, prove that. That is not my burden. That is yours, sir. You had to affirm and prove that the text, which is Genesis, says that God inherited the darkness. You failed. I don't know what a scholarly is. I don't know what Pacific is, unless you talk about the ocean. I guess you was talking about the face of the deep. I don't know. But none of that dealt with the resolution itself, man. And that's sad to see. I had high hopes for you because I was thinking that you was gonna bring some Gnostic idea. It was a Gnostic idea that I never may have heard nothing about, and that you would actually. But the slides you had tips on it, like somebody was telling you how to do your debate. All of this, I'm looking at all of this during this debate. But you never once dealt with the actual resolution and described and pointed to and affirmed that Genesis, the text itself, says that God inherited the darkness. I showed you scripture. I read through Genesis 1 and 9, showing you that the text itself described God creating. Creation is the first thing, the category that we read about when we first open the Bible. Within the first 5 words, it talks about creation. What appears in that creation: the heavens, the earth, darkness, void, water, trees, people. Those are all things that are part of God's creation. None of it existed outside of creation. That is what you were supposed to prove, sir. And then you had to prove that. That was one of the parts of your burden. Second part was, if it existed outside of, even if it existed outside of creation, show that the text says God inherited. You didn't show that either. You failed, sir.
And that is time. That is time. We're going to reset the clock at 3 minutes. Yeah, it's on you. Time to start when you start.
Yeah, where can I start at? Oh yeah, let me see. Well, you started off with what, Isaiah 45, and then what? You got smashed with John 1. I call that a hawk smash. And then you ran from that because that was devastating. and then you had no choice but to focus on the term or the word inheritance. That's how you beat somebody to a corner. You get what I'm saying? That's how you whoop somebody to a logical end. As you notice, you did not even attack my Hebrew, not one time. You didn't even disagree with that. You get what I'm saying? You actually agreed with me the whole time, because my point is this: if your God have to inherit the darkness, then that means he didn't create it. And you agreed that he didn't create it. I agree he didn't create it. That's the whole point of this argument. You get what I'm saying? Through the pre-existence of darkness already being there prior to your God already coming into existence. That's why when I ask you, well, according to Genesis chapter 1, could you try to use the same little terminology with me? Well, show me the word inheritance in Genesis chapter 1. I ask you the same terminology. Well, show me that God created darkness in Genesis chapter 1. And you couldn't, because it's not there. You even agreed and said that your God created the light from out of darkness, and switched around and said, no, he didn't. It didn't say, well, he pure light. Then I asked you, well, if he's pure light, then there wouldn't be no need for your God to bring forth light from out of darkness. Anybody with some type of common sense, if your God is saying, let there be light, where is he bringing this light from? You get what I'm saying? There's something you still failed to answer. You didn't even bring forth not one scholar proof to even back your claim up. I brought one scholar, biblical scholar proof. I could have brought many more, but I liked him more because his main focus was on the same thing that I was bringing forth, the pre-existence of darkness. I didn't even have to bring out the Gnostic text. You get what I'm saying? To show you that your God emerged within darkness, or was placed in darkness. You get what I'm saying? Because that's a different topic. You feel me? What else? What else I beat you up on? What else I beat you up on? Man, that Isaiah 45 was kind of smooth, man. You tried it though. You tried it and you ran to it. You knew exactly what I was gonna do. You knew I knew how to counter it. That's why you never touched back on that. Man, next time, man, hey, it is what it is, man. If I win, that's what's up. If I lose, it is what it is. But judges, man, y'all got to pay attention to Genesis chapter 1. This man said darkness was created in verse 1. Read that.
It's time. Finish your thought, bro.
No, I was saying thank you. I appreciate that.
No doubt, no doubt. Listen, family, be here Wednesday, 7:15 p.m. Central Time. The judges will either be here live or they will make a video and I will play it. But certain people ain't part of the play. You know, the people that made me ain't part of the platform no more. So y'all will see who the judges is. They will not be hidden. They don't mind being accountable for what they say and who they say won, etc. So the judges will either be here live. If they can't make it, they will send a recording saying why they scored it the way they scored it. But either way, y'all will see who they are, see who they is, and see their faces and understand why they came to the decision that they came to. That being said, man, listen, we got a lot of fly stuff coming up on Paradigm Shift and Worldview Wars. We hope y'all here to check it out. I hope both y'all brothers can be here for the results on Wednesday. Let me know if you can't make it, and I will get the results to you either way. But this was for the Worldview Wars social media title. Whoever wins got the Kemet infomonger staring down the barrel. So it's going to either be Yaya defending against Steve Calabro, or it's going to be Big Himmy defending against Steve. Hopefully we'll be able to get a debate together because, you know, Steve hard to negotiate with. But just a quick commercial break. We got some stuff coming up that y'all need to check out. Make sure y'all here for it. We got our brother Easy Bands taking on my brother Nathaniel Hughes on the 18th, a little Muslim on Christian intellectual violence. Hopefully y'all will be here to check that out. We got myself, the infamous DMG, taking on my brother King J. The top man. I'm tripping. Getting a little too excited. Easy Bands and Nathaniel will be debating, is there really an Islamic dilemma? Is there really an Islamic dilemma? Like I said, a little Muslim on Christian intellectual violence. Then I'll be taking on my brother King J. The question will be, was Christianity forced on African-American slaves? That's going to be this Friday, 7:15 Central Time. The 12th, that's on Sunday, 3:15 Central Time. We got my man Mandinka Molly taking on Jose Francis. Hopefully Jose laptop is working or he's going to automatically forfeit this match. But the question is, did any of the ancient Kemetic dynasties practice retainer sacrifice? Be here for that. And then on August the 2nd, we got Lucifer the Devil taking on my man Gideon, Yarden, Israel. The question is, are Israelites among the ancestors of enslaved African Americans? Make sure y'all here for all the action. That being said, Yaya, anything you want to say about the debate? How you feeling about it? You think you took it? You feeling confident? And will you be here on Wednesday?
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. You know, I'll be here on Wednesday. You know, I'm in the city, so most definitely, baby. I mean, win, lose, or draw, it is what it is, man. I appreciate Himmy for giving me an opportunity to go up, you know what I mean, for the title and shit. You know, excuse my language, but to go up for the title, you know what I mean, it wasn't easy, you know what I mean. He actually one of the best debaters I actually debated, you know what I mean, throughout all my debates. So I appreciate that opportunity most definitely, bro. You know what I mean? And hopefully see you in the future, for sure.
No doubt. We appreciate you tapping in with us, bro. St. Louis stand up. Big Himmy. Any last words? What's your thoughts on the debate? Any thoughts on the upcoming debates? And will you be here on Wednesday?
Yeah, I most definitely be here on Wednesday. Honestly, I think this is a pretty straightforward, easy debate. Yeah, shouts out to you, Yaya. You showed up. You actually brought a presentation. You know what I'm saying? You had an argument. Whether or not I agree with how it was structured, how good it was, like you did show up and you know what I'm saying, showed I did your thing. But yeah, man, I'm pretty confident that I got this one. And hopefully you'll get better in the future. One thing you got though, like you did pretty decent in the well, not when you was getting asked the question, but when it's your question answering round, you weren't trying to let me take over your question answering round. So I noticed that you learned you watched and learned that you was like, nah, this is my question, and you asking me nothing. So that was pretty dope. I noticed that. But yeah, man, DMG, I appreciate you having me on again. I look forward to debating in the future. You already know I'm always looking for the smoke.
No doubt. Hey, listen, he told the chin check session was I thought where Yaya shined. Now, like you said, when he was getting asked the questions, he did what everybody do. He tried to stall and avoid, but that's part of the tactic. But when he was asking questions, he was like, yeah, I love the chin check session. He said it out loud. So he was doing his thing. So shout out to him, man. We definitely gonna have him back in the future. The brother want the smoke, so I'm gonna be looking to line him up again. We got Easy Bands. We got my man Nathaniel. We got my man King J coming over. So we got a lot of newcomers. We got some old heads. So we're gonna be able to line them up with somebody. But whatever the results is, one of y'all gonna be staring down the barrel at Steve. And whatever is left for the other one, we're gonna line them up with somebody. It might be Jose if he can get if he can get his computer right. I know you hear me, Jose. Don't forfeit this match with JJ because your computer ain't working, bro. You making me miss a lot of sleep. I got to be up at 2:30 in the morning messing with you. Anyway, family, y'all know what it is, man. Paradigm Shift TV 314. We will be back with the results for these brothers on Wednesday. The judges will be here again. Them cats that made me ain't a part of the program no more, so judges ain't got to hide. Y'all gonna actually see them. So either way, whether they record their video or they come up live, they'll be here to tell y'all what it is. So y'all come back and rock with us. Wednesday, 7:15 p.m. Central Time. We will have the results. And y'all know what it is, man. Until next time, we out. That is peace. And hey, real quick though, before we go, who told Leandre he could be in my chat, man? Somebody block him. Michelle Turns, I need you to block your brother Notes from the underground. Nobody told, I don't even know how he ended up in here. But yeah, get him out of here. Yeah, he's still not welcome. That being said, we out, man. That's peace.
I told you I wasn't stepping to. I ain't disrespecting you, son.
You wanted to be one way.
What?
You wanted to be one way. What is the other way?
Yeah. Funny how everybody loved the debate till the judges say they lost. Funny how everybody claim they want smoke till the scorecards come across.
My name is my name.
Everybody gangster when the verdict go their way. Taking victory laps, posting on social media all day. But let them catch an L, now the judges all corrupt. Now the rules wasn't fair, now the platform messed up. When you won, it was justice. When you lost, it was rigged. When the spotlight was on you, man, you danced a little jig.
Funny how the narrative changes overnight. You a scholar on Monday, by Tuesday ready to fight.
Y'all don't want accountability, you want applause. Want championship treatment without championship flaws. See, debate ain't about feelings, it's about evidence, argument, and skill. Sometimes you climb the mountain,
sometimes you fall down the hill. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
but it's the other way.
When you win, it's all love.
When you lose, it's another day. You want it to be one way,
But it's the other way.
the same judges you praised last month ain't fair today. You want it to be one way,
But it's the other way.
the facts don't bend for feelings, no matter what you say. My name,
Yeah,
my name.
the hate got me laughing. It really tell the story. If the platform wasn't working, why they obsessed with my glory? Every week somebody got an opinion to proclaim, but they still tune in faithfully. That's free promotion of the name. Paradigm Shift TV 314 still standing, while critics in the comments keep demanding and demanding. See the infamous perspective, giving viewpoints room to breathe. The black church files digging deeper than was seen. The Himmy takeover, bringing culture to the floor. The GT perspective, asking questions they ignore. Here you get many choices. Ladies' night, giving divas voices. Different minds, different paths, different truth. Reaching the elders and the youth.
One way,
But it's the other way.
you said the platform needed you, but somehow you still stayed.
Yeah,
You wanted to be one way,
but it's the other way.
the show keeps moving forward. straight. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
the audience decides, not the stories that you made. My name is my
I've seen debaters come and go. Some legends, some pretenders. Some became champions, some became contenders. Some accepted losses and came back even stronger. Others spent 6 months complaining and being bitter even longer. Everybody wanna run a platform. Everybody got advice, but very few know the sacrifice, are willing to pay the price. Fight facts, challenge views, give the people real discussion, not excuses when you lose. So whether they applaud or whether they complain, one thing remains forever.
My name is my name.
But it's the other way.